What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another brand new Division 2 video. In today's video, I want to give you guys my top 5 SMGs in the game as of right now for overall damage, that being for PvP and PvE. So hopefully you guys do enjoy the video. If you guys do, make sure you guys drop a like and a subscribe channel if you guys want more Division 2 content. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. But before we do get any further into the video, guys, just remember that this video is based on my opinion. So the top 5 is going to be weapons of my choosing, and they're going to be based obviously on my opinion. Some of you guys might have the list maybe swapped around, or you guys might just straight up have different weapons taken off the list or added onto the list as well. So make sure you guys just remember that as you guys are watching the video. Hey guys, so starting off at number 5, we have the MP7. This is a gun that was obviously in the Division 1, which I think it kind of helped in this game for players to kind of just gravitate towards this weapon. I think this was one of the main SMGs that a lot of people used probably the first half of this game's lifespan. Obviously more SMGs got changed, more weapons got added, the meta changed, gears changed, and all that stuff, so a lot of people started using different weapons. But the MP7 in general has just been a super consistent weapon. It's also one of the highest fire rates. It's like the second or third highest fire rate in the entire SMG category, so that's a lot of the reason why a lot of people like using this gun, especially myself. I am a high fire rate type of player when it comes to not only SMGs, but really any gun in the game as of right now. So the MP7 is definitely super consistent. It's also a pretty easy gun to find as well in terms of just farming or crafting especially. So if you guys are looking for an MP7, I highly recommend you guys to give the MP7 a try if you have not already. As well as it also does have a pretty big base magazine size as well. So if some of you guys don't like using specific magazines, or maybe you don't have a magazine with an extended mag on it, obviously you always have the choice to just run that 40 base mag, since it is one of the SMGs that has a bigger magazine size on the game. So coming in at number 4 is going to be the MP5. Now honestly, I would have put this weapon a little bit higher on the list, but for me personally, and I think just the overall community and the players of this game for Division 2 right now, I feel like the meta has really always been just high RPM guns, whether it's SMGs, assault rifles, or LMGs. I feel like a lot of people have always just kind of leaned toward weapons that have high RPMs. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing or a good thing either, really, but that's really the main reason why I put it where it is on this list, because I don't really think a lot of people give this weapon a chance, just because it's kind of like a 3-weapon meta, I guess you can say, in terms of SMGs in this game as of right now, until they make some changes to any weapons in the game. That's kind of what the meta is going to stay with, which is the 3 main SMGs in the game, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But obviously something that you get with the MP5 is you're going to get a lot higher base damage, so you're going to be doing a lot more damage per bullet compared to some of the other weapons in this video that I'll be talking about that have super high RPM, which means you're going to be spitting down a lot of bullets down range super quickly, but you're also not going to be doing as much damage as compared to something like the MP5, which obviously has a smaller RPM, but obviously you're going to be doing a lot more damage per bullet. And also to keep in fact that this is one of the most consistent weapons in terms of range and just damage to range effect in the game as of right now. So moving on to number 3, we have the Vector 9mm version of the Vector. Now the reason why I say that is because there's just so many different vectors in the game right now. But for number 3, we're going to be talking about the Vector 9mm version. And the reason why I put this one at number 3 rather than maybe a little bit lower or a little bit higher for some people is strictly because of the magazine size. This is honestly one of the main reasons why a lot of people choose different variations of the Vector over the 9mm one, because it does have a little bit smaller magazine size compared to most of the Vectors in the game that have a 25 round magazine in comparison to this one that only has a 19 round magazine. So that is kind of a big negative in terms of bullets per magazine. So I can understand why a lot of people don't use this, but one of the only other negatives about this is that it makes it a little bit harder to find this specific Vector, just because there's like 4 to 5 different Vectors that you can get in the game to drop from the loot pool. So I guess in a way, in terms of percentages for drops and stuff like that, if you were looking for this specific variation of the Vector, it would be a little bit harder just because there is so many different Vectors. But in terms of differences, you have a little bit of a difference in damage just because of a smaller magazine size. So you do get a little bit of a boost for damage per bullet, because you're obviously going to be firing a little bit less bullets compared to a different variation. And also in terms of your RPM, it's pretty much the exact same. So overall, comparing this version of the Vector to any other one, they're pretty much the same thing across the board other than your magazine size. And it does have a little bit higher base damage per bullet, which is only because of the fact that you have a smaller magazine size. So if you are able to use, or you're able to accept the fact that you're going to be using a little bit smaller magazine size with the 9mm version of the Vector, then I would highly recommend using this. If not, I would recommend using a different version of the Vector that we'll be talking about in just a little bit. So coming in at number 2 is actually my second favorite SMG in the game right now, and that is going to be the MPX. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, well, it's just a variant of the MP5. I guess technically speaking, yeah, you guys might be right if you think that it is technically a variation of the MP5. But the reason why I feel like I say it's not is because it does actually have different stats in comparison to the regular MP5. A regular MP5 only has 800 RPM and the MPX has a 850 RPM, and they also have different damages as well. So if you had the exact same rolls on them, on the exact same build, you would have different damages and different RPM. So from that standpoint, they are technically different weapons, which is why I like the MPX a little bit more. You're not really sacrificing any damage when it comes to differences for the MPX and MP5. And also, you also get a 50 RPM boost from 800 to 850. And I think one of the primary reasons why I kind of gravitated toward the MPX so easily when I started using it was because I played the Division 1 a lot. And if you guys played the Division 1, then you guys probably know there's a weapon really similar to it, and it was an exotic weapon called the House. Obviously, the talent was what made the gun pretty good, but this gun is probably the closest we're ever going to get to the House from Division 1 in the Division 2. And honestly, for me, it just feels super similar to it, the way I shoot it, the way I use it, the way I make my builds around the MPX. Overall, I just feel super consistent with it. I just feel like it's right when I'm using the weapon. And also, I just have a lot of experience with this weapon in this game with all types of different builds, whether it's PvP or PvE. And also, it's one of the higher SMGs in the entire SMG category for damage output, so you can't really go wrong with that. One of the only really negatives I can say is this is one of the harder SMGs to find. I'm not really sure what the problem is around it. I'm not even sure if there's a blueprint. I don't have it anyways because I don't really waste my time or my materials crafting weapons, so I guess there is that. There might be a blueprint. I'm not 100% sure, but the MPX is definitely up there. I know some people probably have this at number 1, but I do think it deserves to be at number 2 for me personally, because I do think there is a gun that I love using and enjoy using more than the MPX. And last but not least, coming in at number 1 is going to be the Vector 45 ACP. Now for me, I think this is my most used SMG in the game as of right now for that specific category. The MPX is definitely number 2. But for me, going back a little bit in the video when I was talking about the 9mm version, don't get me wrong, I do think that all the SMGs in this video that I've talked about are super good, and also some of them are super underrated as well. But for me, I think most of my success for any builds, or just in general while using the 45 ACP version compared to the 9mm version, has been a little bit more successful in comparison to those two different variations of the Vectors. I've tried modding the weapons practically the exact same with all of the mods. Obviously, the main difference between the two weapons are the type of ammo that you shoot. So one is a 9mm and one is 45 ACP. That's really the main difference. Also, the magazine size is also one of the main differences as to why some people sway away from using specific variations of these kind of weapons. With something like the 45 ACP, you have a 25 round base mag compared to the 9mm, you have a 19, but obviously one of the trade-offs that you have to kind of agree to while using either of these weapons is going to be either a higher damage output or just a little bit lower damage output. And on my end, I like using the ACP, which obviously I do agree to trading off a little bit damage when using the 45 ACP, but also I do enjoy definitely having a bigger magazine size at the end of the day, because sometimes that is the difference between killing someone and getting killed by someone. Now, I know that I play on console, so my aim isn't necessarily the best, but those extra bullets definitely do help at the end of the day. In terms of like the mods and stuff that you put on the weapons, they're practically the exact same. You can mod them almost the exact same. Really, the only difference is going to be the type of ammo and the type of magazines that you're able to use on these two weapons. But overall, I think you would have a very, very good success rate with either of these weapons. But for me personally, in terms of PvP builds and also just any builds I've made that have a Vector 45 implemented in them, I think I have the most success with the 45 ACP version of the Vector. But that's just my personal opinion when it comes to the Vectors in the game as of right now, because they could have changes. Who knows? They might be good or they might be bad, but we'll have to wait and see in the future if they do make changes to any of the SMGs. But guys, that is going to about do it for the video today. Also, I just want to quickly ask you guys now for future videos when I make top 5 videos for whatever weapon category it might be. I was thinking about and watching the first video that I made, which was the top 5 ARs, and I want to know your guys' take for this specific video as well as the other one, and I guess future videos to come. Would you guys rather watch the same type of background gameplay while I talk about the top 5 weapons, or would you guys rather me just show the 5 weapons that I'm going to be showcasing in the video on screen and then talk about the stats a little bit more in depth for each weapon and kind of just leave them on the screen for you guys? Or would you guys just rather watch the gameplay in the background? For me, I just went for the background gameplay for the first 2 videos because for me as a YouTuber and a content creator, and also I was thinking on the side of if you guys were watching the videos, I thought that it would be a little bit boring to kind of just see a still screen of a weapon for like 1.5 to 2 minutes each time, 5 times in an entire video for like 10 minutes. I don't know, I just thought that'd be really boring to see that. So let me know what you guys want to see. What would you guys rather see in the videos, I guess, is what I'm asking. But yeah, hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys did, make sure you guys drop a like, kind of subscribe channel if you guys are new. Also, just keep in mind that this list might be different for every single person. It probably is different for every single person that is going to be watching this video. That's just due to the fact that some people like using these weapons based on their own specific builds that they're building, and they might not be built around the same kind of build that I like playing with compared to someone else. So make sure you guys just keep that in mind. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.